from the drugs. This was almost a type of suicide that he brought on, like provoking this type of murder.
On the day of his son's funeral, Marvin Sr. was asked if he loved his son. After a moment, he said only, "Let's just say I didn't dislike him." She was a wannabe celeb who would do anything to grab the brass ring. But once she got what she wanted, someone viciously took it all away. Number 13, the murder of Bonnie Lee Bakley. The wife of actor Robert Blake had a checkered past.
Bonnie Lee Bakley was a huge celebrity wannabe. She had actually a black book in which were names of every major star in Hollywood that she was hoping to get to.
Then more information came out that she had scammed other men, that she had left a trail of tears behind her in her life. She led a very complicated life, selling pornography through the mail and breaking a lot of hearts and scamming people.
Bonnie met Blake in 1999 at a birthday party. By the fall, she was pregnant with his child.
Rather stormy relationship that was well known and well documented through their friends and through family.
Despite their rocky affair, Bakley married the former Beretta star in November 2000, 3 months after the birth of their daughter.
They didn't have a normal marriage. They didn't live in the same house. She was out by the pool in the pool house.
The marriage continued to struggle, but on the night of May 4th, 2001, the couple decided to have dinner together. Robert and Bonnie went to their favorite restaurant in Studio City, California. At 8:30 p.m., Blake parked his car next to a dumpster by a construction site a block and a half from the restaurant. Blake brought along his pistol.
They were having dinner at Vitello's restaurant in Studio City. He was eating his own dish. They have a dish on the menu, the Robert Blake pasta dish.
Around 9:30, Bonnie and Robert finished dinner and headed back to the car. According to the police report, Blake said he forgot his gun and went back to the restaurant to get it.
He says he left his gun in the booth. So he goes to the booth, can't find the gun, and he goes back out to the car.
The police report continues to say that when Blake returned to the car, he found Bonnie bleeding to death from gunshot wounds.
Now, that's short span of time. If somebody wants to murder her, have to follow them and knows exactly the location, knows exactly he's going to walk away back to the restaurant. So this window of opportunity is very narrow.
Blake ran to a nearby home and called 911. Paramedics arrived and raced Bonnie to the hospital, but she was DOA.
Had multiple gunshot wounds, one gunshot wound to the right cheek, which was considered fatal wound, and one gunshot to the right shoulder, which was considered potentially fatal.
Police grilled Blake for hours after the murder and searched his home. Blake maintained his innocence, but according to police, evidence began to mount.
Turns out that Robert Blake collects guns, and they happen to find this rare German gun in the dumpster a couple of blocks away that happens to be the murder weapon.
In April 2002, after an 11-month investigation, police arrested Blake for the murder of Bonnie Lee Bakley.
When Bonnie Lee Bakley was murdered, the initial assumption was it has to be Robert Blake. It has to be her own husband, especially when information came out that he really didn't like her.
The trial lasted 3 months. Bonnie's shady lifestyle was brought into question.
And there's other people that she's finessed and finagled money out of, have reason to want to come after her. And so the specter of reasonable doubt is so high in that case.
Bonnie Lee Bakley is a perfect example where the focus wasn't really on what occurred, but who she was, what she was like, and what her private and personal life was.
On March 16, 2003, Robert Blake was found not guilty. No one else has been charged for Bonnie's murder.
I thought that was the perfect example of a highly professional lawyer doing an extraordinary job of creating reasonable doubt.
In November 2005, in a civil trial brought by Bakley's children, the jury found that Blake had intentionally caused Bonnie's death. Her children were awarded $30 million in damages.
Some people said in Hollywood, if you kill your wife, you don't have to go to prison, you just have to pay a fine.
Up next, hundreds of witnesses, several shots fired, an iconic rapper dead, and not a single arrest.
Who wants to be the snitch?
DNA, gun residue, trace evidence. Today, advances in forensic science help prosecutors nail their cases shut. So how is it possible that some murders remain a mystery? Number 12, the murder of Biggie Smalls. Christopher Wallace, better known as Notorious B.I.G. or Biggie Smalls, was one of the most influential hip-hop artists of the 1990s.
The street buzz on him was exorbitant. It was a foregone conclusion that Biggie had something that was going to touch people.
But everything came to an abrupt end on March 9, 1997. It was 2 weeks before the release of his third CD, ironically titled Life After Death, Till Death Do Us Part. The New York rapper attended a party in Los Angeles.
Notorious B.I.G. and Puffy Combs were attending an after party for a Soul Train Music Award. The party took place at the Peterson Museum.
The party ended around 12:35 a.m. Biggie got into the passenger seat of his Suburban. Sean Diddy Combs was in the SUV in front of him.
3 vehicles exited the parking structure and proceeded to the first light at Wilshire and Fairfax. A dark-colored Chevy Impala pulled up next to Biggie's vehicle.
The driver opened fire on Biggie with a 9mm semi-automatic handgun, shooting several bullets into Biggie's chest before speeding off. While Biggie fought for his life, the rapper's driver raced to the hospital with Diddy close behind, but it was too late. At 1:15 a.m., Biggie Smalls was pronounced dead at the age of 24.
Biggie wasn't a dangerous person. He was a musician. He was just trying to make some records, trying to make some money. Biggie wasn't a bad guy overall.
Police say dozens of people witnessed the murder, yet no one identified the killer. Who was behind this violent attack?
I can tell you that obviously the parties involved are going to be East Coast and West Coast gang members.
The major misconception, I think everybody believes this is a regular gang drive-by shooting. The evidence, in my opinion, shows that this was a organized hit.
To this day, there's still speculation around that. Some people felt that Suge Knight and Death Row Records put out a hit on Biggie and Diddy.
But Suge Knight doesn't see it that way.
I ain't know Biggie to like Biggie or dislike Biggie, but if anybody know me, I'm a businessman. If I would have been on the streets before long, Biggie would have been a Death Row artist because he's a great rapper. What I would have asked this guy for is giving him a record deal, not to bring harm to him.
Some people felt that some gang members were paid to kill Biggie as a result of the old debt that Biggie had with some gang members in Los Angeles.
Without suspects or evidence to make an arrest, Notorious B.I.G.'s case went cold.
One reason why the case hasn't been solved is the fact that there are police officers involved in the conspiracy to kill Biggie Smalls. There are political implications that have caused this case not to be officially solved.
But maybe this cold case will heat up again one day. It all takes is one witness to come forward, one suspect to come forward.
In July 2006, investigators reopened Biggie's case, reinstating a $50,000 reward for any information leading to a conviction.
People in the hip-hop world don't want to talk to the police. It's really that simple.
Who wants to be the snitch? I just nobly snitched on somebody, and here's my address, so if you want to kill me now, kill me now. Nobody wants to do that. The more dangerous the case, the harder it is to get it solved with a witness coming forward.
On July 15, 1997, a world-famous designer bought his morning paper. His assassination an hour later became front-page news. Number 11, the murder of Gianni Versace.
To the world of fashion, he's definitely a legend. Like, because he was so different. He created a style that you could not compare with any other designer.
By the summer of 1997, Miami resident Gianni Versace was a bold and innovative presence in the fashion world. Versace's name became synonymous with Hollywood's red carpet.
He did a lot of fun things. He took a lot of chances that weren't traditional. I think that he opened a lot of doors for some designers, too, to get a little crazier.
With sales topping more than $560 million, life never seemed better.
He's distinguished from other designers simply because he did what he did. He never did things that were aimed at trendy stuff. It's just what he did turned out to be very, very popular.
But on the morning of July 15th, Versace's world was destroyed. At 8:30 a.m., he returned home from a walk and opened the gate to his mansion. Without warning, a man approached and shot Versace point blank in the back of his skull. The killer fired one more shot and fled the scene. The king of fashion was dead. Friends inside the house raced out and discovered Versace's lifeless body lying in a pool of blood.
I was actually notified right away because I was on my way to work when this call came out, so I heard it on the radio come out. I didn't know it was Versace at the time, but I heard the call of shots fired and the person running from the scene, and I heard all of our troops responding.
The news about Versace's murder spread quickly.
I mean, when you finally understand what really happened, it's just very sad.
It was horrible. And then I left for Europe the next day, so I saw it worldwide, the worldwide upset of this.
Within a few days, police suspected Versace's death was linked to a bloody trail of other murder victims in Minneapolis and Chicago. Evidence from all 5 slayings pointed to a man named Andrew Cunanan, an elusive con artist on the FBI's 10 most wanted list.
Andrew Cunanan, in addition to having probably some sociopathic tendencies, had a lot of rage.
In the case of the serial killer, obviously, they become more empowered every time they do it.
8 days after Versace's murder, a tip led Miami police to a houseboat where Cunanan was hiding out. But as police were closing in, the serial killer took his own life, putting a gun into his mouth and pulling the trigger.
He would have been so overwhelmed with shame for his actions that I think that from then on it would have become a total self-loathing, self-hating existence of desperation.
So why did Cunanan target Versace?
Versace was everything he probably wanted to be. He was wealthy, he was a gay man, he was successful, he had it all, and Andrew Cunanan had none of it. It was this case of anger and envy, and in that moment of killing, he was powerful. He was in charge of his life.
Up ahead, a chilling glimpse into the mind of a celebrity stalker.
It's just me and her, you know, talking to her, you know.
Hogan's Heroes star Bob Crane was a beloved TV actor. His easygoing personality and fast wit won him friends and fans. But what he did behind closed doors led to quite a few enemies. Number 10, Bob Crane. The first blow opened up Crane's head at the scalp. The second hit crushed the actor's skull. The killer then grabbed a VCR cord and strangled him. But Bob Crane was already dead. He was 49.
The reason there's a bit of overkill, somebody wanted to do extreme violence, so there was a case of some anger and rage just against the person of Bob Crane.
It was horrific with a camera tripod. I mean, his head was a pulpy mess when they found him.
On June 28, 1978, police found more than just a grisly murder scene. 50 pornographic videotapes were discovered in a closet, along with photo equipment in the bathroom.
He would use this